This car does 0 to 60 in about a half a second. It goes 0 to 100 in a little over 1 second.
These mechanics are top-notch. They're all dedicated. They all love what they're doing. That's what it's about.
We go to the starting line. It's one guy, one car. We'll go up there and see who's the first one across the finish line. Okay, let's do it.
The International Hot Rod Association sanctions one of the biggest drag racing series in North America. It boasts 5 different classes of competition, holds 11 international racing events every year. Each one broadcasts coast to coast on national television. The IHRA Top Fuel Dragster class is the premier division in the series. These dragsters are some of the most extreme horsepower machines in the world, and their quarter-mile runs deliver 5 seconds of the most exciting racing on the planet. With engines that produce over 7,000 horsepower, 0 to 100 miles per hour in just under a second is standard operating procedure. These nitromethane-burning, supercharged V8 Hemi engines are so loud they register 2.0 on the Richter scale. Top Fuel driver Todd Payton is the only Canadian driver in the IHRA Top Fuel Dragster division. And this weekend, he is the hometown hero at the Toronto Motorsport Park event. However, the Payton Racing pit crew faces a major challenge this weekend. They're breaking in a new dragster, and this will be its first test in a major competition. Breaking in a new dragster means the Payton pit crew are bound to face an assortment of technical teething problems. But this die-hard crew are ready to roll up their sleeves, pull out the wrenches, and do whatever it takes to finish the weekend on top of the box. Things are off to a slow start for this weekend's event. It's been raining at the Toronto Motorsport Park on and off for almost 24 hours. Drag cars run on slick tires, and even a light shower will bring all racing to a stop until the track can be thoroughly dried out. There are 3 qualifying sessions scheduled for the Top Fuel dragsters today. But currently, there is nothing the teams can do but wait. Unfortunately, in drag racing, Mother Nature plays a very big role in the sport, and rained-out events do occur throughout the racing season. Not only are they a big financial hit for the promoters and the sanctioning body, but a rained-out weekend is also a blow to many of the smaller teams who are running on tight, inflexible budgets.
We're here this weekend. We already got hit by rain once back in July. We had to reschedule it for September. What that does to us, a lot of the teams, a lot of the fans, it's tough. It's not easy for these teams to get up here, to drive up here. The expense of gas, just traveling in general is so outrageous these days. It's very hard on the teams. So we're here today. We've been hit with more rain. So it's really important to these guys to get a fair shot at the track, give it their best, and do as well as they can. Not just here, but in terms of the big picture for the World Championship.
Today, in the early afternoon, there has been a break in the weather, and the blower trucks begin to dry the track in preparation for today's qualifying sessions. The Payton pit crew goes over the dragster's final preparation in hopes that the rain will hold off long enough for them to put in a qualifying run. The man overseeing the preparation today is team owner and crew chief Barry Payton.
Well, I basically have total responsibility for this crew and the car. I am the crew chief, I tune the car, and basically I'm the go-to guy on everything. Since the early 60s, I've had a race car and a designated only race car. And when my sons came along in the mid-80s, they joined in and we ran the alcohol funny car back there. Then when IHRA came up with the Top Fuel program, we decided that that's what we needed to do because there were venues that were close to home and it fit our program.
My dad commonly says if you can work with your dad, you can work with anybody. But, you know, it's kind of neat. Away from the racetrack, we are father and son, but here we are teammates. So for us to be competing at the top level in the sport that we've chosen to be in, you know, it's a dream come true for him. And I just hope, you know, that I can do my part well enough to help him realize his dreams.
While Barry and Todd Payton are definitely the backbone of the team, the volunteer pit crew with the oil in their veins are the ones that keep this car running. Working on an extremely tight budget, it's obvious that this team is fueled by a true passion for the sport. At Payton Racing, the pit crews are entirely made up of volunteers, trained professionals who sweat it out in the pits on race weekends throughout the summer, while holding down day jobs throughout the week. Though 11 team members have arrived at Toronto Motorsport Park to lend a hand this weekend, there are 5 core pit crew members who attend every race.
With a crew made up primarily of volunteers, we've kind of let everyone figure out where they feel that their strengths apply. And we've had Bobby now. You'll see him. He does what the bottom end of the motor. So basically, when the car comes back, he'll drop the oil pan, pull all the bearings out, and check the basic health of the motor, because that's the lifeblood of this thing, is figuring out what the bearings, what the connecting rods look like. Mark Morris, he came to us a couple years ago as kind of a co-op student out of the high school system, and he thought he'd come see what drag racing was all about. He'd never been to a drag strip before, and he kind of worked his way up from, you know, parts washer, wiping the tires down and stuff, and now he pretty much handles all the engine building. He actually built this car that we've got this weekend. At the track, he takes care of engine building and also maintains the clutch. And we've got a couple other fellows. Gary and Todd will take care of the cylinder heads when the car comes back. And my brother, if he wasn't emceeing a wedding today, would also be responsible for overseeing the cylinder head maintenance. And then we've got my father and myself. We kind of tend to the smaller things, the finessing part at least of the tune-up as far as ignition. And when we come back to the pits, I'll download everything off the data logger and put it up on the computer screen for my dad to see. And he'll go ahead and make the adjustments as far as tuning with the fuel and ignition profiles.
Top Fuel pit crews are some of the hardest working teams in racing. IHRA race events are made up of 2 days of racing. On Saturday, 18 teams are paired up head-to-head for the first round of timed qualifiers. Only the top 8 fastest dragsters make it through to a typical 2-car tournament-style elimination round on Sunday. By the time they have worked the field down to the final round, the top 2 cars in the final will have raced at least 5 times over 2 days. These big block, supercharged V8 Hemi engines are pushed to such extremes that after each drag race, the pit crew must tear down and completely rebuild the engine with new parts. And in most cases, they will only have just over 1 hour to do so before they must head back out to the drag strip. This limited time frame places extreme pressure on the team. If the slightest detail is overlooked, it can cost the team the entire weekend. Races are won or lost by only 2 factors: the driver's reaction time at the starting tree and how well the car is performing. Even the slightest change in air temperature or air pressure will alter the way the engine is tuned. Drag racing is definitely old school. Hard work and seat-of-the-pants experience are truly the order of the day.
You want to start it?
Yeah, I'm ready. All right, see you guys.
What are you doing with the clutch?
The test fire, or engine warm-up that is done before every race, is of critical importance. It is the only chance the teams will get to make sure that everything is working correctly. And as Top Fuel dragster engines are quite possibly the most delicate and stressed engines in motorsport racing, no detail can be overlooked. During these tests, the crew must wear gas masks to filter the fumes of the highly flammable nitromethane and methanol fuel mixture used to power the engine. During a typical quarter-mile race, a Top Fuel dragster will burn through 10 to 12 gallons of the stuff. Top Fuel engines are fired up by squirting raw gas directly into the supercharger. where it is ignited by the spark plugs mounted in the engine's Hemi heads below. As they fire the engine, the Peyton pit crew quickly realizes that they have a serious problem. The car is having trouble changing between its forward and reverse gears. Meanwhile, word spreads through the pits that the blower trucks have now dried the track, and the teams could be called to qualify at any moment.
Hey, Bobby,
Yes?
on the warm-up there, when we were all said and done, was something still spinning? Because I heard something still spin, like the degree wheel and all that's still on the hub. Yeah, it's just something stupid. When I shut it off, it sounded like something was still spinning.
I can't say I heard anything.
Okay, it's just. And did you have a hard time getting the starter off or not?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Comes off like a dream.
Something was clunking back there initially.
Starter came off the best it's ever come off.
Okay. I know nothing up here. I'm just telling you what I.
No, if you're
felt.
hearing though, I mean,
The pit crew quickly determines that the clutch needs to be adjusted. Fine-tuning the clutch is a relatively minor procedure. However, the team is concerned that the same problem could happen again over in the staging area. Top fuel dragsters have only 2 gears, one forward and one reverse. The clutch and the throttle pedal are the single most important tools for the driver of a top fuel dragster. Not only is the clutch used to engage the engine with the transmission, but it's also used to control the car's acceleration during a race. Where most typical cars use multiple gear changes to get up to top speed, a top fuel dragster is revved up to full power at the starting line, and as the clutch locks the wheels to the engine, the car gains speed. The clutch is also crucial for what is known in drag racing as a burnout. Burnouts are done at the starting line just prior to the race. The driver quickly releases the clutch, causing the dragster's tires to spin and launch the dragster forward. The reverse gear then allows the car to back up to the starting line. The burnout serves 3 main purposes. It preheats the tires to give them better traction at the start. It also coats the track with a layer of rubber, which further increases traction. And finally, it helps the crew to remove any debris from the tires that may have been picked up on the short trip from the pits.
We're going to probably start pushing you to do your burnout, and then we'll push you up when you go up the stage like more and more cars are doing, so we don't wear clutch off as you get the car rolling. Because what we had here is a warm-up that's taken off enough that you couldn't get it in gear.
Yeah.
So that's obviously why they're doing it, and which is a lot of reason why some cars get out to half track and got to continue. All but for 8 or 10 thou of clutch wear.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, what a fragile, silly system.
Oh,
that
it always has been, and that's, it seems to be prevalent much more on this chassis for whatever reason. I know we're still using the same linkage and stuff. Is this our pedal, or is this the pedal that came with this car?
Came
so,
with it.
I don't know, But anyhow, so we're okay back there now?
Yeah.
Okay, up on fire?
With the clutch adjustment completed, the crew prepares for another test fire and engine warm-up. The Peyton car starts without a problem, but again, the dragster cannot change from forward into reverse.
Is it a linkage issue?
Oh, that's such a open seal back there.
could this reverser be
It's possible.
Why? We got the spare.
What?
Pull it. We have another one, right?
The team quickly deduces that the problem is in the shifter linkage that engages the reverse gear in the dragster's transmission.
We took the reverser apart. We saw that one of the gears in there has a little bit of a burr on the edge of it, and something that insignificant probably would prevent it. Would probably hold it up from going into reverse. So we've got a spare reverser. We just went through it and made sure everything was happy with it, and it's getting bolted in. We're going to start working on the other one here after the warm-up, make sure it's race ready too. When you're working on these things, it's not so much what's bolted to the car, it's what's getting bolted to the car next. And there's a certain amount of pressure working on these things, but we've always got a time factor, because you never know, especially where we've got this bit of a rain delay here. whether or not they're going to come and tell us we got to be on the starting line in 15 minutes or whether we got an hour or two. So, you know, we always try and assume that they're going to come for us in the next 30 seconds.
As tension mounts in the Peyton Racing pits, the team takes another crack at firing the engine. But Todd still cannot get the dragster into reverse. It appears a small bracket on the transmission has come loose, and this may be the cause of the problem.
Barry! What was that? Huh? What was that?
The bracket wasn't tight that holds the whole thing.
Who was that? Why was that?
I guess Mark forgot to tighten it.
Okay.
As the drag racing fans begin to pour into Toronto Motorsport Park, qualifying is now only minutes away. The pressure is on the Peyton pit crew to find a quick solution. If they don't, this race weekend could be over without making a single trip to the starting tree. Just as it seems all hope may be lost, the problem is identified. The linkage running from Todd's shift control back to the transmission has come out of alignment and has too much slack.
Come here, Todd, look. Right here, watch this nut. Mark, watch your hands, dude. It's on, that's it.
Right.
There's no more movement there, right?
Yeah.
You're saying it stops right there, but it wasn't getting into it.
Okay.
So we need to lengthen this one back out. If you want your arm to change position, we shorten the back.
Okay, very good.
Lengthen that one back out all the way. And we'll shorten it there if we need to. If he says his arm's not in the right position, we'll shorten it there.
3 o'clock.
As qualifying time closes in, teams prepare their cars for today's first session on the drag strip. The Peyton crew feel confident that they have solved their transmission problem, and now they focus on their first run of the weekend. This is where all the long hours and hard work pay off for this volunteer pit crew.
If you witness what they do throughout the weekend, you know, be it wake up early in the morning, stay up late at night, you know, thrash on these cars, to imagine someone putting that much time, that much effort into a job, any job period, the fact that they would do it for free is pretty amazing, and, you know, truly a testament to what they're doing, how, you know, how much they love it, how much passion they have for the sport.
The constant threat of rain has not kept the die-hard drag racing fans away from this weekend's event. The IHRA officials are very pleased with the passion and commitment of their Canadian supporters.
I think it's a testament to the fans, to the Canadian fans. We've been to a lot of events in Canada and we've had rain problems, and you see the same thing that you're seeing here today. The fans just do not leave. Obviously there's a lot of hunger for drag racing in Canada, and we'll be happy to deliver that.
These IHRA fans have come to see one of the best drag racing shows in North America.
Our two, what we call our top classes, is Top Fuel and Nitro Funny Car. They're the 330-mile-an-hour cars, cover the quarter mile in 4.5 seconds. So I mean, those are considered the kings of the sport. We run 5 professional categories, and it really features and highlights the premier, the highest level of drag racing.
The Peyton team prepares for their qualifying run by examining every nut and bolt right up to the very last minute, searching for any detail that may have been overlooked. The team knows that every time Todd squeezes into the dragster, that he is putting his life on the line.
With this car, we've gone as quick as 4.70 seconds in the quarter mile, and that was at the finish line measured. We ran 314 miles an hour. But as far as the actual horsepower output is, we've never been able to successfully dyno any of these vehicles. There's not a dyno in the world strong enough. But the best measurements and best guess we've had based on data and calculations is somewhere in the area of 7,000 to 7,500. The sensation of driving a top fuel dragster is as if you were sitting idling at a stoplight and a freight train came and hit you from behind at about 85 miles an hour, and you go from 0 to instant acceleration. The car, when it leaves the starting line, according to our G meter, we're subjected to about 4.5 Gs of acceleration force. And then as the clutch nears lockup at about 2.5 seconds, it'll spike the G meter to almost 6 Gs.
Of the 18 top fuel cars that will compete in today's qualifying session, only the 8 cars with the fastest times recorded will move on into tomorrow's elimination races. Usually, teams are given 3 shots at setting their fastest qualifying time. But with this morning's rain delay and the threat of more showers on the way, there may be time for only 1 qualifying session. If the dragster is unable to get into reverse, as it did during the test firing, the team will be disqualified. Fortunately for the Peyton team, they seem to have licked their transmission trouble. Now it's all up to Todd Peyton to get down this quarter-mile track as fast as he can.
I'm reasonably happy realizing, of course, that he had to step off the throttle, what we call pedal, to put the car back on the ground and get back on the throttle again. So that takes up time, but overall we can fix that problem there. We're absolutely confident that we will qualify and qualify well.
Well, good job. Sorry, I had to pedal it. It was right on the center line. And when it came down, I knew it was up.
Oh, it was way up.
Yeah, I was driving and driving, but it was just flying. It wasn't going to go this way, and it didn't feel like it was going to go that way, so I just stayed with it. I probably should have blipped it while it was up, but I didn't really want to slam. It came down real gentle.
Did it?
Yeah.
When you got off it, it came down gentle?
I was off it when it was down.
Oh.
So it came down, and then I got off it, because I didn't want it to slam down. We ended up sitting in pre-stage for a fair amount of time, and the car probably burned an extra half to almost 3/4 of a gallon out of the fuel tank. So when we got up there, the car was probably 7 to 10 pounds light in the nose. And the end result of that, as we saw, probably a little too much height in the nose there for a little bit. But it set it down gracefully. We went out there. I had to get off the throttle. In the end, we were able to get a decent enough time out of it. But there's just, like I say, so many little things that you don't even think about.
With a solid run under their belt, the Peyton team has qualified 5th overall. The pit crew must now go into high gear. If the weather holds out and there is an opportunity for a second qualifying session, the team must have their engine rebuilt and ready to go for their next run.
Even though it looks like absolute chaos back there, it's actually a well-orchestrated dance, if you will. It's well choreographed. We've got our clutch guys already got the clutch out, got another clutch prepared to go in it. They're taking the bottom end of the motor apart to check for damage, so they're going to make sure everything lines up, everything's sealed properly, bolt it back together, and we'll try and make some more noise later on.
Former European Top Fuel champion and longtime friend of the Peyton Racing team, Smack Smith knows what it takes to make a successful Top Fuel pit crew.
You have to be able to work under pressure. So, I mean, to give you an idea, like, you know, taking the cylinder heads off the pan, the rods, the bearings and everything like that, is done in probably 20 minutes. You know, these mechanics are top notch, they're all dedicated, they all love what they're doing, they take it on, they dream and sleep about it, what can we do to make this thing faster? They practice, 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 and like look at, you know, the results now. They've only been back 10 minutes, the whole thing's apart. We have probably 10 on the team, and they're just all working feverishly trying to make this thing happen and just turn this car around, because the rules are 70 minutes and you have to be ready to turn this car around and be back out there again. So it's exciting stuff.
While the pit crew tear the engine down and start the rebuilding process, Todd analyzes the computer data from his first qualifying run.
We've got a data logger up here which records everything. We've got exhaust gas temperatures, we've got pressures, we've got a G meter that's all fed into it. And then at the end of the run, we'll come back and we'll download all that. Basically, all this tells us is, you know, what happened and when it happened. What we'll look for usually is how quickly the cylinder temperatures rise and to what range they'll go at. A very common problem for these cars is at about half track, they'll start to drop cylinders. When they do that, of course, they're no longer producing horsepower and you lose 800 horsepower, 700 or 800 horsepower if one of those goes out.
Once the dragster is reassembled with fresh engine components, the team will only have a couple of minutes to fire the engine and check for leaks.
Bypass the mags. Or bypass the box, go straight to mag.
Unable to get the dragster's engine to fire, the crew decides to bypass the electronic ignition system and instead fire the dragster with a manual starter.
It's this controller box then, I guess. Dad? See if you can get a controller box from somebody.
The starter box appears to be defective. They can't get the massive V8 engine to crank, and time is quickly running out. If they miss the next qualifier, they'll have to hope that their existing qualifying time holds up and remains fast enough to keep them in tomorrow's elimination finals.
New one.
Okay.
Not charged or anything, I don't think,
What do you mean not charged?
but just out of the box.
Well, that's fine. This is the charging here. That's the battery source. Go ahead and hook it up. Hook it up for him, Mark.
The Peyton pit crew quickly installs a new starter box and test fires the dragster. Now they have just enough time to do a final visual inspection and get out to the staging area.
Everyone on the crew just has a real passion for the sport, and I trust them with my life, and together at the end of the day, we have a good time. We go out there, we'll win a few rounds of racing, and they all have a sense of accomplishment at the end of the day.
With the ever-present threat of rain, combined with today's technical challenges, the Peyton pit crew is tense.
I'm feeling quite apprehensive because the weather's starting to close in. It's looking like rain, and I'm very concerned about that. If we don't get this run in, it is a concern, because somebody who might get the run in would qualify ahead of us. So we'll just have to see what happens, but it's closing in pretty quickly.
Top-fuel drag racing is a sport that can deliver both heart-pounding exhilaration and heart-breaking frustration in just mere seconds. There is no thrill on earth that can compare with the rush of launching from a standing start to 300 miles per hour in under 5 seconds. But there is nothing quite as frustrating as watching hundreds of hours of preparation going down the drain when a car malfunctions on the drag strip. The Peyton dragster is running well, and the entire drag racing team is now ready for their second qualifying run. The team is not happy. Their official time is a quarter of a second slower than their first. And there's more bad news. During the run, flames could be seen shooting from the rear of the dragster. Though their first qualifying time is fast enough to keep them in tomorrow's top 8 elimination round, a fire in the engine compartment means the team has a serious mechanical problem on their hands and a long night of work ahead of them.
Just prior to that run in the final warm-up, there was an issue with the ignition system. The car had a little difficulty starting, and even though the numbers and pressures looked right when we staged, it looks like it may have hurt the motor. It got probably to about 300 or 400 feet, and the car just didn't feel like it was pulling as hard as it should have. I gave it another second or so, and it felt like it was losing power. So I just clicked off, and when we got down there was a small fire in the shutdown area. We got a few pieces that burned a little bit, so the crew's working hard on it, and with the rain that hit just as soon as we made the turnaround at the far end of the track, unfortunately, it'll be a late night for them. They'll be working throughout the night, and come first thing in the morning, hopefully it's dry, hopefully the new motor's put in the car, and we'll be good to go.
It is race day at the Toronto Motorsport Park, and though the weather has cleared during the night, the day's forecast calls for more rain. After spending the entire evening repairing and rebuilding the dragster's engine, the Peyton pit crew prepares for their first elimination race.
We knew we had a problem with the motor, and it looks like now we had an ignition system malfunction. At about half track, one of the cylinders stopped firing, and after a couple of revolutions with a full fuel load in it, it finally hydrauliced and threw a connecting rod out the side of the block. So kind of got some of the components here. This used to be a full-on Hemi connecting rod at one point in time, and one of the pistons in the number 5 hole is now gone. So we've got a brand new motor in there that the crew's been working on preparing. When it comes to nitro racing and drag racing in general, you got to have all your spare parts ready to go because you never know when they'll be pressed into service. So we're getting pretty close to starting the motor up for the first time. We're going to check over the new ignition system, all the new cables and everything that's been installed.
After completing their overnight rebuild, the Peyton pit crew is once again ready to fire up the dragster. It's imperative they troubleshoot the engine before they head over to the staging area. Although the Peyton dragster is running smoothly, the pit crew quickly discovers that the ignition timing is off. As an engine's piston goes through its 4-stroke cycle, timing refers to a preset moment when the spark plugs are set to ignite the fuel mixture. This set point can be changed by a matter of degrees. If the timing is off, it will dramatically affect the engine's ability to generate power. Under normal circumstances, this is a minor adjustment, but time is quickly running out.
Okay, we'll go to nitro.
While struggling to get the timing just right, the crew notices that there is a small oil leak at the rear of the engine. An oil leak indicates that a major gasket seal in the engine's crankcase has not set properly during the overnight rebuild. If it's not replaced, the pressure inside the engine will force the oil to spray out all over the dragster's wheels during the run, and that could be disastrous.
Okay, how are we going to fix that oil leak?
After we run, and if it's still leaking, we're going to pull the fan down, drain the oil, pull the fan down, check the rear main.
Okay, do you have another seal?
Oh yeah.
Go grab one and get it ready.
Yeah, I got a pile of them.
We don't have a lot of time, guys.
By the time you guys get the fuel and all that stuff done, I'll have that done.
All right, that'll be 10 minutes.
The team decides to fire the engine once more to make sure the timing is right before attempting to fix the oil leak.
Good. Excellent work, guys. Awesome job.
Now we got oil coming.
On the schedule, we should be in the lanes, but they've had a delay, so that's going to work to our favor.
The Peyton team kicks into high gear, determined to use the delay in the schedule to their advantage and get the engine's crankcase seal replaced with a new one.
After the warm-up, the crew dropped the oil pan, pulled down the rear main, and replaced the seal in there on the crankshaft, put it back up. Took them about 3.5 minutes to accomplish that.
As race time approaches, the pit crew note that the rain clouds have returned.
It was unbelievable the change from last night to this morning. We woke up to sunshine and what was clear skies at the time, but as we come closer to actually going up to the starting line now, we see that there's significant weather moving into the area. There's some pretty sizable black clouds coming in.
You go up front and get them.
All right, bring him in.
I'll bring them into the beams. You get throttle stuff.
I got that.
You got throttle stuff.
Never know what a bug will do to you at 300 miles an hour. They get really long.
So Mark said just 3 of us then? I'll run it and jump in the back. I won't take a spot again. There we go. Good.
The Peyton Racing team must now focus on their first elimination race. For round 1, they're up against reigning IHRA Top Fuel points leader, Doug Foley.
Well, the Foley character. I don't know, these guys came out to dominate this year. They put a 2-car team together and they're running strong, both of them. So I don't know, we'll see what happens. I mean, maybe he'll overpower and maybe he won't. We'll see what goes on.
Right now we're first in points over Clay Milliken. We hope to keep gaining points the last 3 races and win the championship.
Todd Payton qualified, but he's drawn Doug Foley in the first round. He's actually never lost a round of competition at Toronto Motorsports Park. So Todd's got he's got the odds stacked up against him, but anything can happen on Sunday. If you don't bring your A game, you might be packing up the trailer and going home pretty quick.
Doug started driving probably about 3 years ago in the Top Fuel class. He actually runs a drag racing school, and he's progressed through the ranks. Obviously, to be leading the points, and I believe this would be his 3rd full season. His team and his crew and himself as a driver, they've all done an excellent job. But just like anybody else, we go to the starting line. It's one guy, one car, 16 spark plugs, 5 discs, and a whole lot of nitro. We'll go up there and see who's the first one across the finish line.
Finally, after more than 24 hours of back-breaking work, it's time for the new dragster's first elimination race.
hurrying. Don't worry.
What the?
I don't know. Retarded.
Nothing's changed.
It's flooded. It's flooded. I can smell it from here.
Where's ignition gear? Mark, get here.
Mark, now. What goes here? What does he got? Nothing. Everything's there. Exactly how it's supposed to be.
Hook it back up. Hook it back up the way we had it.
Except the furnace is broken.
What?
Why are we hooking it back up? Just go straight to mags. Why are we doing that? Just run it on mags.
Go direct, go straight to mag.
Jesus Christ.
What else, boys? What else? I mean, this thing's got nothing.
No! Come here, Donnie! Donnie! Right here! Why? He didn't stay!
If a dragster has difficulty starting in the staging area, then the IHRA officials will disqualify the entry. The waiting competitor will then be awarded an uncontested win. The Peyton team can't get the dragster to start. Doug Foley has finished his burnout and is ready to stage for the head-to-head elimination. The IHRA officials have no choice but to disqualify the Peyton team. Doug Foley will be awarded an uncontested win.
Okay, let's go, boys. No sense being up here any longer.
Cut it hard, Todd.
We had an ignition problem. The car didn't light right away, and we saw that up there. We still had enough time. We were in the process of bypassing the mags, and the rules are, until that car has staged, we have everything within our power we can do to get up there so we don't inconvenience the other driver. And our plan was simply to bypass the magnetos and go up there and roll in and stage. But the fact of the matter is, he just idled down the track and collected an easy win, uncontested. It doesn't look good for the sanctioning body. It really offends us, you know, because everyone's seen what's gone on here in the last 24 hours. These guys have put their heart and soul into it. They put a brand new motor in it. The thing was working great, you know, and to have it end this way, it's just not fair to them. They're going to stand by their decision. I went up there and I had just a brief conversation with the official. I said, I understand. I said, you do what you got to do. I said, I'm just up here to spectate, but I just had to get out of the car. I just had too much pent-up emotion, and it's better for me to walk back than, you know. I'm old enough, I don't have temper tantrums anymore, but it's still, it gets you all wound up. I had all the intention in the world, all the adrenaline that goes through your system, and you know, you gotta have a vent for it. It's just a bad call, I think, by the officials, and we'll be going and having some meetings, I think, with a few of them. There's always another drag race, and it'll come around. If that's the way Foley had to beat us, that's the way he beat us.
Well, I'm very disappointed. I really wish we had gotten a chance to run the other car. We had a score that we needed to even there, and we really don't know what the problem is, but we think if we were given a little more time, we could have started the car and made a competitive run.
I don't know, right now our future's kind of up in the air. You know, we're at the end of our sponsorship program with the Tim Hortons folks and the Nitro Moose folks. We've got a couple irons in the fire, but whether anything else will materialize by the end of the season, I don't honestly know. If money shows up in the bank account, we'll go back out and race.
There will be another race day. That's how the best way to deal with it. We'd like to do way better than we did, but there will be another time.